Welcome to Steve McDonald Crafting, and what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be making a round box with a lid that fits on top of it with no hinges out of the cardboard that's left over from these. As you know, I keep all these and it makes great boxes. I'm making a round one today, and I will put all the sizes into the description below, both in inches and in centimeters. So whichever ones you use, the measurements will be down there. And what you need is you need 2 of A, 1 of B, 2 of C, and 4 of D to be able to make this box. The first thing to do is to put the part B, which is the wider one here, so 6.5 centimeters by 2.5 centimeters, to one side because you won't be needing that yet. And then split up these into pairs, because what you're going to do is, because at the moment they are a little bit flimsy, you're going to glue these together to make a much more robust strip of card. And all I'm going to use for this is good old PVA glue, which I will paint on, and then I'll get them lined up so that they're completely close together. Put a bit of greaseproof paper over them so the book doesn't stick to it, and then hold them down and glue them together. Once they're glued together, I'll then show you how to put the box together. These bits have all nicely dried now, so again, this piece where there's only one layer, you don't need that at the moment. And what we're going to do is we're going to attach these pieces around these bases and the top. But to make it a little bit easier to attach, what I'm going to do is go along here, and this is the side piece, and score this through a little bit, but not right the way down all the way through, just into the first area, and that way it will bend that little bit easier when you come to do it. Now, you don't need to do that if you don't want to, but I just find it helps. So you can see here that I've scored all the way through. It didn't take many seconds, but not through to this side. And now look how much easier it will bend into the shape that I want it. So I'm going to glue this now directly onto here, and I'm going to use my hot glue gun to do that, because that is the quickest method I know of. I've taped that up so that it's nice and together, and this makes it a little bit easier to be able to connect it to the base. And I've got the base, and what I'm going to do is go round this with a bit of glue, and I'm going to do half of it first, going right to the very edge. I like to live on the edge, I do. And then I'm going to level that up and pop that on there so it gets as near to the edge as possible, and then without burning your fingers on the hot glue, pushing that towards that base, lining it all up. Now, if you're a little bit out, it really isn't going to matter too much, because we've got another stage to go, but you can see where those score lines are, and it really has helped to get that base on there nice and neatly and in a good shape. Now, I'm going to lift that up there, put some more glue under it, and around, and then just carry on attaching it all the way around like that. By doing it in bits, it saves it pipping out and popping out in places where you don't want it to pop out, and it gives you, I think, a much neater finish. Now, when you get to this bit and you think, oh, well, how am I going to get, just go in there with your glue inside, because you've got a bit of a cone sticking out, and that way you can then put your edge on it like that, that is nice and together. Hold it still till it's cured up. Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt, and now you've got that nice and secure. But what you've got is, because you've got this join here, you want to try and get that as round as possible as well. And this is where you glue it together. So get it as round as possible, like that, and then glue it there together and let that dry. That will give you that nice, neat, rounded finish to it. And then what I will do is I will use some tape on here as well to get that nicely round. Again, that helps, because you're not going to see that tape, because what we're going to do next, we'll completely cover that up. There we go, that's quite a nice round shape. And then this piece, which is the wider piece, that is going to fit in here, but you are going to have to cut it down a little bit, and that's easy to do, because what you do is now you've got this all nicely even and happy with where it's sitting on there. All you need to do is get that into the right place on there, in there. See where that joins in here. Draw a little line like that, and that is where you now know you need to cut that off. So if you cut that off like that, that should then fit in there. Now, don't line your two joins up because you don't want that to reinforce that join. Pop it in there like so, and then glue that in. And that is what your lid is going to sit in that little lip. So I'm going to glue this in now, and how I'm going to do that is by taking that out, and I'm going to run some glue down the bottom of it, and then pop that in, and then I'll run some glue down the top. Get that into its place. I'm going to go round, just lifting this top away and glue that in place. And there we go. And what you can see is that putting that in there now and not lining those bits up has allowed that to pull that in nicely. So now we've got a nice round pot. Run a little bead of glue along the join there, inside. Let that cool down a minute and then run my finger through it. Well, you could use a bit of card just to flatten that off. So that's the first stage of it done. And what we need to do now is just completely repeat that process for this bit, and then I'll show you how it goes together and what to do next. What we've got now is we've got the top and the bottom that fit in there nicely together. And whenever you do it like this, it just works lovely. And what that does is it saves you having to have hinges or anything on your pot as well. And you can just take the lid off. I'm going to cover it all in brown paper. And I've got my brown paper already cut up. And this is just the brown paper that comes with the Amazon boxes, and when you get packages, give it a nice covering of that using white glue mixed down with a tiny bit of water to thin it out a little bit, and then let that dry up. Go over the bits with a bit of glue where you want to have the brown paper, for instance there and in there. Pop your brown paper on as smoothly as possible, and because we've got a lip, I want that lip to be nice and tight, so I'm going to push that in there really, really well into that lip. As I go round, paint the glue over it. So what will happen is that will dry on there really nicely, and it will give us the leather effect if that's the effect that we want to go for, which it kind of is, but with a little bit different going on. Well, this is all dried up now and all ready to decorate, and the lid fits on there lovely now, like that. Now I've got it all done. I'm really pleased with how that fits. Fits on there nice and tight, which is what I want, but easy enough to come off. Now what I've also done is I've divided this bit round here into equal divisions because I've decided I'm going to make this into a card pot. So it's going to have the card emblems on it. So I've cut out on my Cricut the card pieces, hearts, clubs, diamonds and spades. Go round, putting them on here like that all the way round. And the same on the lid as well. So I'm going to cut some out and I'm going to put them on the lid all the way round in equal bits as well. And then put a design on the top. And what I'm going to use to glue those on with is some multi-purpose clear glue, and I'll use Yoo-Hoo for this. And don't forget, I will link everything that I used today in the description below, and I can now make links for the UK, Canada, America and Australia, which is great news. And the reason I'm using this is I find it glues on really, really well, cardboard to cardboard, and it is a little bit more sticky, so it will stay in place rather than use the white glue. But if you haven't got any of this, then you could use the white glue, use it quite thick, and pop it on, because it's always good to pop it on. Well, this is all nicely dried now, and it's all ready to paint, and I've popped on the little cutouts of the heart, the club, the diamonds and the spade. And I also found this really nice poker chip that I could put on the top. And as you can see, this is all now lovely and firm, and it fits together beautifully as well. So it just needs painting. And once this is all finished, I will go over and give it a varnish as well, because I want to ensure that it is really well protected against knocks and things. Well, this coat is finally dry, and actually it's the third coat, and I quite like the texture and the look that it's come out as. And now what I want to do is I want to paint all these little bits as well. So this is all painted now and all nice and dry, and as you can see, I've gone round and I've painted all the pieces how I want to with the undercoat here. And what I'm going to do now for the white, oh, and I've also put a felt base on the bottom of this because I think that will make it look a little bit nicer and feel a little bit nicer. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to kind of jazz up this white by using the mica powder. I'm going to use some quite thick white glue to start with in this, and then add the mica powder to the glue and paint this on. And then when the glue goes clear, which it should do because it's just a PVA glue, then the mica powder should, I hope, leave a decent shimmer on the white behind. See how much glue I've put into that little shot glass. So it's not a great deal. And I've got my white mica powder, and once it's all gone nice and clear, it should just leave that sparkle behind, rather than just being this stark white colour. Because even as you look at it, that white is kind of like a creamier white. And all I'm going to do is paint this glue on in exactly the same way as I would paint any kind of paint onto here, and try and get it on as smooth as possible, and then let that dry up, go clear, and we'll see how sparkly it does come out. Hopefully it'll come out nice and sparkly, or shimmery. That's what I'm looking for, shimmery. I've given that a coating now, and I'm not sure if it's showing up on the camera, but it has given it a really nice sheen. For the $sign in the middle of here is I'm going to put some gold glitter in the centre of that, and I'm going to use exactly the same method. Bit of this glue and then some gold glitter in there, and give that a mix together. And then I'm going to pop that in and around that $sign, and then hopefully when this dries it will leave some glittery bits behind it, and it will still show through the gold paint as well that is underneath. Then that should be done. This is all finished now, and I'm really pleased with it, and it's dried up, and I love the way that the pearlescence has taken on by using the mica powders. I actually also went through and did exactly the same thing on all the red and the black pieces. The lid fits on lovely, and it's nice and tight. It's not going to go anywhere, and that is the advantage of doing it how I showed you at the beginning. I think this has come out really well. Let me know what you think of it in the comments. I'd love to know. Don't forget, if you'd like to buy me a coffee just to say thank you for any of my videos, then the link for that is in the description below, and it really does help support this channel. And I'll leave the links to everything that I've used today in the description below. I'm going to give this to my son, definitely. Take care. Enjoy your crafting. Bye.